Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are doing an express deck here. We're going through these bracket 2 decks for fun leg back games. These are all $25 or less at the time of recording. They go up fast though, so if you need to, make a copy and update to cheapest. So we're going to talk about the important mechanics and cards in this deck and give you a quick rundown on how it works. We are first looking at Bloomburrow, which has some special kindred commanders. All the dual colors have their own kindred type and a commander for that type, and that's what we're looking at right now. And we are doing Gruul, which is raccoons today. They're all about ramping up fast, casting big spells, and outvaluing the table. Our Gruul raccoon kindred commander is Muerra Tactician, which sounds very appropriate for pandas. Anyway, he is at 1 red-green for this legendary 2/4. At the beginning of your first main phase, add red or green for each raccoon you control. Remember, that's raccoons or changelings. Whenever you expend 4, gain 3 life. That means using 4 mana on spells that turn. And whenever you expend 8, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until end of your next turn, you may play those cards. That means you can keep casting things from exile, turn after turn after turn, racking up that expend, and just keep having access to those cards over and over. He cares about getting a bunch of raccoons or changelings on the battlefield, using a bunch of mana and outvaluing the opposition. He has 3 primary abilities for us to review, and these are important for us to understand for the deck, so we'll take a quick look at them. His first ability is what makes everything else work. At the beginning of your first main phase, you get extra red or green mana equal to the number of raccoons and changelings you control on the battlefield. Note that you do not need to tap these creatures to get the mana. So just by having them on the battlefield, they can do whatever they normally do. You also basically treat them as mana rocks, but this mana is gone at the end of the first main phase. Remember, all your mana disappears from your mana pool at the beginning of every phase, so before combat, you need to use this. We use X spells and multi-kicker things to be able to use this effect well. It's also very important for getting to our expend 4 and expend 8. So our next abilities very much line up with this ability. The next 2 abilities are expend abilities. Expend is a Bloomburrow mechanic, primarily assigned to raccoons. Surprise, surprise. Expend counts how much mana you spend on spells through the turn. Remember, abilities do not count, only mana spent on spells. This does not care how many spells the mana was used on, just that the mana was used on spells. So all on one spell for convenience, or if you use it on like 4 different spells, same thing. Expend abilities will be triggered once per turn only. This counts the number of mana per turn spent, so you cannot go back and activate this again over and over. No, there's no doing that, but that's where the X spells and kickers and things like that really come in handy for this, though. He has 2 of these expend abilities, which trigger at different times. Expend 4, he gains 3 life, which isn't bad, might help. Not great, but whatever. Expend 8 is the big one. You exile the top 2 cards of your deck and may play them until end of your next turn. Next is very, very big in this, because this means that you can just keep using those spells and playing those lands over and over and over. Note that it does say play, not cast, so any lands you exile, you could still put into the battlefield. The deck price is currently $22.10. This has been very all over the place price-wise. It actually shot over $40 for the deck like 3 days ago and then dropped way down. So if it is more expensive, try making a copy of it on Moxfield and update to cheapest. That should help. Anyway, the deck objective is to get Raccoon's Art, start casting piles of spells, and outvalue the rest of the board. Really, this is like a tug-of-war deck. Anyway, the deck is on Moxfield, and you can see it in the description. We're going to look at some of the key cards now. These fall into 3 categories. Kindred Expend. Again, raccoons are the kindred, and they are the things with expend. Mana Sinks. Things that will let us meet our mana costing goals very easily. And Exile Plays. Bonuses we get for casting from exile, which we will be doing a lot with this deck. First up for the Kindred is Brambleguard Veteran for 1 green greens 3/4. When you expend 4, it gives all raccoons +1/+1, and they gain vigilance until end of turn. So that is pretty useful. Next up is Bark Knuckle Boxer for 1 and a green. This is a 3/2. Expend 4, it gets indestructible. A 2 mana 3/4, that's going to be indestructible every combat you want it. Yes please. And Byway Barterer for 2 and a red. This 3/3 has menace, and expend 4. You may discard your hand if you want to and draw 2 cards. So if you don't like your cards or you have 0 cards in hand, this is just draw 2. Really useful option. The important thing is that it's an option, you don't have to. And Trail Tracker Scout, my favorite personal raccoon. For 1 and a green, he has tapped to add 1 mana of any color, so he's going to make a mana, a red or a green, just by being on the battlefield, and then you can tap him for another mana. And he has expend 8, return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So he's a 2 mana mana dork that'll make 2 mana every turn and has recursion for you. Oh boy. Next up are our mana sink cards. Electro Dominance for X red. This allows you to deal damage equal to X and also cast a spell from your hand. It does have to be from your hand, it cannot be from exile. Also remember that if you cast an X spell with this, X will be 0, so do not use this for an X spell. Balduvian Rage for X and a red. Target attacking creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn and draw a card at the beginning of the next unstep. Card draw in red is always nice. Also, if you're going for a commander damage win con, this is going to probably be exactly what you need. Combine this with Double Strike and probably you're all set. Hell to Pay, X and a red again. So it deals X damage to a target creature, and you create a number of treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage done. So you just put a whole bunch into this, and you blow something up, and then all of the excess damage becomes tap treasure tokens. So you're refunding yourself that mana and activating your expendability. Also making it easier to activate your expendability later with the treasure tokens. Just all kinds of good. Jaya's Immolating Inferno for X red. Deals X damage to up to 3 targets. Again, this can be players or creatures or anything. With enough mana, you can just end the game with this, right? So this potential win con right there. And finally, Everflowing Chalice. This is multi-kicker. It's technically 0, but multi-kicker 2. For every 2 you put in, you get one charge counter on it, and you can tap it and get mana equal to its charge counters. So you can basically get a refund your mana every single turn. Really piles on. We also have Astral Cornucopia, which is very similar. Now we're looking at our exile plays. We've got Party Thrasher for 1 and red. This is a 1/4. Non-creature spells you cast from exile have Convoke. Again, so you're basically, it means you can tap creatures to pay for mana cost. Another way you can kind of double your mana using creatures here. You get it for just them being on the battlefield, and then you can tap them and use them again for non-creature spells you want to cast from exile. Again, those exile cards are only available for until the end of the next turn, and then they're not. So you might want to have a backup plan, and this is it. Impending Flux for 2 and a red. This is sorcery. It has Paradox. It deals X damage to each opponent and each creature they control, where X is 1 plus the number of spells you cast from exile this turn. So if you cast a bunch of things from exile, hopefully you've exiled things the previous turn, and then you can also foretell this for 1 red, meaning you put it outside the game, and then in a later turn you pay 2, and you cast it from exile, and that's going to add another 1 to this, so you're looking at least 2 damage to every opponent and every creature they control. This can get out of hand very quickly, obviously, turning into a one-sided board wipe. And that will also just wreak havoc on their life totals. And Unstable Amulet for 1 and red. This is artifact. When it enters, you get 2 energy counters. You can tap it, pay those 2 energy counters to exile the top card of your library, and you may play it until you exile another card with Unstable Amulet. So this gives you permanent access to that exile card rather than for just one turn. And whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this also, it's just pinging them, but it'll add up. This has been Muerra, Trash Tactician. If you enjoyed this, please hit like and subscribe. It makes a big difference to us little channels. And what commander would you like to see from Bloomburrow next? I'm thinking rats, but I'm open to suggestions. So let me know.